In mid-June, Wissam decided to take a trip around the Gulf region. However, because this 10,000-kilometer journey would be a short one, as compared to previous journeys he did around the world over the span of 3.5 years, he decided to up the challenge by doing this one on the smallest bike possible. So, he chose to do it on a 125cc Honda Monkey.
شفنا الهوندا مانكي ادفنشر ضربت في راسنا بدنا نطلع رحلة بالخليج على هاي.
As initially intended, the journey would begin in Dubai. Going several times through Saudi Arabia, he would ride to Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and from there to Jordan. Then passing through Aqaba, he would go to Egypt, then ride through Saudi Arabia again all the way back to Dubai. However,
the best thing about adventure is uncertainty. You go on a plan, and the plan sorts out itself on the way. I started on a monkey trip around the Gulf, somehow ended up with a monkey trip from Dubai to North Cap in Norway.
Flirting with Death is brought to you by Old Timer Middle East for motorcycle parts, accessories, apparel, protective gear, and modifications. Old Timer, leave a trail behind. Wissam purchased a new Honda Monkey from a friend and started dismantling, painting, and modifying it in his workshop at Old Timer Motorcycles. Within 5 days, the bike was fully completed, and he had established all the visas and the paperwork for the bike to pass through all these countries. On the departure day, 2 of his friends decided to join and accompany him to the UAE-Saudi border.
So the day of the leaving, of course, all were last minute because there was no real preparation for this trip. Everything happened in 5 days. I had 2 of my best friends insisted on joining, Ahmed Saabi and Saeed Hashel. The only problem, their bikes were a bit bigger, so they had both KTM 1290S, and it is very hard to drive this bike slow. The guys wanted to accompany me all the way to the Saudi border, and we left Dubai around 11 o'clock at night. It's June 26, so the weather is hot, it's humid. One of my main concerns about the trip. It was obvious that the bike won't be able to do more than 70 to 75 kilometers an hour, especially with the seat. We headed to the Saudi border, which was around 500 kilometers from where we were, and it took forever. I mean, we had to do a lot of stops. Fuel was not a major issue. I expected the fuel to be an issue, but the tank can do, with all the luggage I had, can do around 140, 150 kilometers in a full tank. And I had a fuel bladder from Giant Loop, which gave me another 140. However, when I had opposite wind, the speed went down to something like 50 and sometimes 45, and the fuel consumption was 100 kilometers for a full tank. So this was another issue that I faced on the way. So we left, the guys tried to stay as slow as possible. We tried to maintain, we used to stop every 50, 60 kilometers for a break.
ضايل لنا تقريبا 100 قد ايه ضايل سعيد؟ 190 كيلو. The weather got much better as we're going further from the cities towards the border. So it's actually nice riding weather. Let's see. The bike is doing good, no issues so far.
Around 200 kilometers before the Saudi borders, the guys decided to go back.
So the guys are heading back to Dubai, and I'm continuing to Saudi. It's another 120 kilometers to the border, but it's gonna get hot, so they need to get back.
I was extremely tired, so I slept on the side of the road for like 20-30 minutes, and I used to stop in gas stations a lot to hydrate because it was extremely hot and I was losing a lot of water. I arrived to the border, I think, after 13 or 14 hours of riding.
Assalamu alaikum. The custom officer was telling me this bike is way too small to Saudi. He doesn't know where I'm going, but anyway, let's see the comments.
I am literally the only one on the border. The UAE border, as always,
Very organized, very easy. Took literally the whole process around 4 or 5 minutes from beginning to end. I am now in Saudi Arabia.
Border crossing was more or less okay, nothing major. I was the only one on the border at that time because I was there very extremely early.
Last time I was here, there were thousands and thousands of people on the border. Now there is no one, which made things easy. I bought insurance for 3 months because they have 1 week, 1 month, and 3 months, and I think I will need it by the time I come back, so I don't have to buy it twice.
One of the most interesting things is the look on people's faces, especially on the border when you see a big guy coming on a small bike. And I feel they have two things in their mind. This guy is either very poor, has no money, so this is the why he chose this bike, or he's mental. It's funny to see the people's face looking at you with a lot of questions and very strange exclamation marks popping on top of their head. And then they have this big smile because they think this is really cool. It's something really funny to see. So I had a lot of interaction with people. This is one of the nice things. You know, when you're on a big bike, they've seen this a lot. When you're on a bike like this, a lot of people come to you and ask you why. And to be honest, it's a very hard question to answer why, but I guess it's a challenge.
Upon passing from UAE to Saudi Arabia, Wissam realized that there are no places to stay and get some rest after all the riding he has done.
But the problem, there is no place to hide, to get some shade or a break, nothing.
And so he decided to keep pushing to Qatar.
And Qatar was another probably 7-8 hours of riding.
It is hot as wind directly on my nose and the bike is not moving. It is 25 kilometers to Qatar. I don't want to fill fuel in Saudi.
I said I'll reach Qatar, better stay there. And the bike started heating up more and more. We did think about the heat and we put an oil cooler, but still with the weight on the bike and the heat hitting 50 at noon, it was very difficult to keep. So I had to stop every now and then. I would rest and I would cool the bike.
A few kilometers before reaching Qatar, Wissam was hit by an extremely bad sandstorm.
They call it in Saudi Ajj. Very difficult. The wind was unbelievable. Of course, it broke a couple of my cameras, the 360 and the GoPro. The lenses broke because of the sand hitting them. And to add to this, I ran out of fuel because of the wind. I did not expect, but this is where I found that the fuel consumption was going really crazy with wind against you. I had to stop in certain areas while this sandstorm because I couldn't hold the bike anymore. I mean, the bike is very small, so it keeps throwing you left and right. I started getting an idea of what issues I will have. Trucks was a major issue. I mean, when the truck passes by you, it throws you like a feather because it's a very small bike and very lightweight. So I was trying to avoid trucks as much as possible. Driving at night was an issue, especially most of the roads I'm on doesn't have lights, although I had enough lights too, but people couldn't see me really. So I went through the sandstorm for 3 to 4 hours until I reached the Saudi-Qatari border. So it was again smooth. It was only buying the insurance at every border, talking to the border guys, asking them asking about the bike and so on and so forth. The storm kept on going, even through Qatar, the first 100 kilometers in Qatar. At this point, I was exhausted. I mean, I've been on the road for almost 24 hours. I kept going until I reached Doha and checked into a hotel and met some friends there that were following the trip and decided to stay one more night in Qatar just to take a break.
In the next episode of Flirting with Death,
A stone hit the oil cooler and it broke it and it started leaking. I kept going and the leaks started increasing. I had now the problem of heating up. Now the bridge was closed for a long time. I was not sure if they're gonna let me go on the bridge with a 125cc motorcycle. Kuwait has stopped all visas to all tourists. The highway has a minimum speed of 80 and my bike wasn't going over 65 at that time.